Ledger is a writing podcast and a showcase for short fiction. I'm your host, Austin Wilson. Welcome to today's show, where I will be reading my short story, Hate to Meet You, originally published in Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Death, issue number 6, out from Ahoy Comics. And that issue, just like a lot of Ahoy Comics issues, after the comic book story in the front, they publish prose stories in the back of the issue. And my story is there, featuring an illustration by the one and only Peter Bagg. I was insanely honored to have an illustration by him alongside my story. He's one of the greatest cartoonists currently living. His stuff's just amazing. This is a short story about two coaches, high school sports coaches, who meet each other and know immediately that they freaking hate each other. I loved writing this. It is actually set in the same small town that I made up called Constance, Indiana, which the other story that I have published in Ahoy Comics, which is called B-Rasts, is also set in Constance, Indiana, as is a lot of the other stuff that I've written. You don't have to know anything about any of the other stories as of now to read any of them, and you won't feel lost. It's just a small town I really like writing about, and I have a lot of other stuff coming out. Some of it is genre, like sci-fi horror, and some of it's just straight up slice of life or rom-com or, drama. So this is my story, Hate to Meet You. I will be featuring other short stories coming in the future, almost all from me at the beginning of doing this. I don't really have a reliable or easy way to continue, or to start, to continually pay writers for their stories. So I don't want to do it for free. I want people to get paid for their work. So at first, it's just going to be my stuff. I'm currently writing a couple stories specifically for the podcast, so you'll want to watch out for those. Follow me on Instagram at Mossheart Books. That's the name of my independent bookstore. Go to austinrwilson.com. That's my website where you can find links to my work and references to the stories that you'll get to hear on here. And make sure you like and subscribe to the show, all of that stuff. Share it with people, leave comments. It really, really does help. And check out my YouTube page. It's Ledger Podcast on YouTube. I'm probably going to publish a video of the comic that this story was originally published in, so you can go check it out over there. But as for now, here is my short story, Hate to Meet You. This guy was probably born chewing gum. The doctor held him up to his parents and said, "Congratulations, it's annoying." Sig shook his hand and tried to break the rhythm of the chomping as he met Mr. Carey Boostus. "Boostus," Sig said, showing off the pronunciation after hearing Principal Height say it earlier. Mr. Boostus narrowed his eyes and gave a small nod. "And how about yours?" Mr. Boostus said. "How's that pronounced?" "See it on your name tag, but yeah." All of this around the hi-hat shack of his gum. "Exactly like it looks," Sig said, and smiled. Regardless of how it looked, this fella's last name had plenty of options. Boostus saw letters he would have punched, syllables that might rise on the edge of his voice without even trying. His posture was easier to read, though. Mr. Daniker walked around like a sea captain in love with the horizon. Boostus wondered if the ceilings of the South Light County High School reception hall were interesting. "You can probably say it better," Mr. Boostus said. Mr. Daniker's eyebrows rose, and he said, Doubt it, but okay. It's Dan-a-Kerr. You teach social studies, right?" That wasn't untrue, but it would be like someone asking an astronaut if they did math. "I coach the Snappers," Boostus said. "Oh?" Mr. Daniker seemed to finally notice there were people down there. He looked right at Boostus and said, "Me too. I'm the new soccer coach. What do you coach?" "I know you are," Boostus said. If he didn't have his gum, he would have had to chew on something. Maybe just his own broken teeth from grinding them together. "Football," Boostus said. "Ah, okay, cool," Sig said as he reached out and patted Mr. Boostus on the shoulder. "Good to meet you. Go Snappers." Sig turned and weaved through the crowd of teachers, parents, and student workers. He wondered if someone had to write Mr. Boostus a playbook on teaching every year. Boostus watched Mr. Daniker leave. 2 spots still tingled on his shoulder where he'd gotten his pat. It sure was cool, wasn't it? There was a pretty cool collection of trophies in the display case at school. Their seasons overlapped, which meant games kept their minds off one another, but high school runs on inevitability, even for the adults. Sig taught math when he wasn't coaching, which meant he would end up talking to Mr. Boostus one way or another. Sig jogged down the hallway after school one day, trying to catch up with Mr. Boostus, who walked like gravity pissed him off. He was already at the door when Sig called out, "Boostus, wait up!" After which they were face to face. The door eased itself shut. "Am I slowing you down, Daniker? Your practice starts in 10 minutes, Mr. Boostus asked. Right. You don't got practice today, Mr. Boostus said. Why that is, I'll never know. Either walk and talk or write me a letter. Sig took 2 big strides and held the door open. He walked and talked, all about Paul Sheets, a wide receiver and the team captain. He was failing Algebra 2. Mr. Boostus said he was well aware of that, and he'd like it if Mr. Daniker didn't tell his boys they'd fail at more than math if they didn't focus on school. Mr. Boostus headed off and Sig stood there. "How dare I, huh? Teaching them things," Sig said. He was the only one listening, though. 3 days later, Friday night at the Stackhouse. Last time Boostus was there, he'd put a roll of quarters in the jukebox while the team filled the place with post-game chatter. The pancakes tasted better that night, while great plays were retold, already embossed with legend, despite being less than 2 hours old. Tonight the place only had the arcade machine cycling through its most enticing sound effects. Headlights lit up the windows across from Boostus. First one set, then more and more. Parking lot silhouettes turned into vague shapes as the lights clicked off. One shape headed inside first. Mr. Daniker strolled in and said, "Chicken and waffles on me," with his arms open wide. Exactly 4 people heard him, one being Boostus, the other 3 a family already done with their dinner and close to leaving. "How about just another of these?" Boostus said, and pointed at his glass. "Where is everybody?" Daniker asked. "Away game tonight. Most everybody drove straight home." Boostus took a sip and pursed his lips to make sure none of the foam was in his mustache. Yeah, we heard on the radio. Sounds like interceptions got you, huh?" This was impossible to deny. It was even a tiny echo from a locker room conversation Boostus had with the team. Now it sounded like someone failing to tell a joke. "That a beer?" Sig pointed at the glass. Mr. Boostus nodded and opened his mouth to say something, but Sig stopped him. "Okay, how about I get one, and we sit outside and finish him up," Sig said. He turned to his team captain, Craig Lopez, and tossed him a credit card for ordering everyone's food. "Outside," Boostus said. Technically on the clock still, so..." Sig shrugged a bit. 2 weeks ago, Sig drove home after a loss, ordered a pizza, and smoked a mummified joint he'd hidden in a drawer. Imagine if he'd lit up in front of the kids, got weepy about Bruce Springsteen songs, then started soliloquizing how high school would fade like a bruise. Mr. Boostus didn't move. 2 kids at the arcade machine were already tapping it to the exact rhythm of Boostus's headache. Sig could see his jaw clenching. "Come on outside before Principal Height gets here and sees you with it," Sig said. "You inviting me to step outside, Sigmund?" Boostus said. "'Cause I'd love to." He stood up, swallowed the rest of his beer, and walked out to the empty side of the parking lot. Sometimes reality lurches like that. A piece of Sig hadn't caught up. It was still standing there. Another piece of him was 5 steps toward the door. He exited to find Mr. Boostus standing in the middle of a parking space, staring at him. "You know, I see guys like you a mile away," Mr. Boostus said. "Makes total sense," Mr. Daniker folded his arms and nodded. "See, sarcastic. Puffed up. Think you're always in a parade or something," Boostus said. "I wasn't being sarcastic, Coach," Daniker said. It made Mr. Boostus's hands clench. "Tell your face," Boostus said. He took 2 steps forward. "How many have you had tonight?" "There it is again," Boostus said. He pointed at the Stackhouse and said, "That was my first, Coach." His hand tightened again. "And I think you know what I meant." Sig clicked his tongue against the roof of his mouth. Actually, I do. He took 2 steps forward, too. I first saw you. I thought 4 words immediately. Hoped I was wrong, Sig said. Haven't been yet. Funny. I thought 4 words about you, too. Oh, let's say them together. Maybe we'll be surprised, Sig said. They said their words. I hate this guy. Look at this jackass. Neither was surprised. It was obvious to them they'd been wading through something since they met. Now their limbs felt lighter. We got to move on, Bustos said. So we move on, Sig said. Think that'll work? Or should we beat the shit out of each other? Bustos said. Sig laughed. They would absolutely see each other regularly. Kids on both teams were friends. Something had to change. 5 minutes later, Principal Heights headlights cascaded across the image of Coach Carrie Bustos and Coach Sigmund Daniker lying on their stomachs in the parking lot. They were arm wrestling while the entire soccer team watched from the windows of the Stackhouse. She jumped out of her truck, yelling, and ran straight to them. They hopped up, both out of breath. When she asked what in Sam Hill they were doing, she immediately thought better of it, turned back to her truck, and said, Nope, never mind. That's why she wasn't sure who said what. We're pretty sure we hate each other, one of them said. Then the other said, Maybe. That was my short story, Hate to Meet You, originally published in issue number 6 of Edgar Allan Poe's Snifter of Death, out from Ahoy Comics. They've also published another story of mine that I'll be reading in the future, a story called Berasts. And like I mentioned, I have a couple of other stories I'm working on right now that are specifically for the podcast, never before published anywhere. They will be debuting here. Make sure you like, subscribe, rate, review, share, all that stuff with the podcast on every platform you can find it on. And swing by patreon.com/ledgerpodcast if you want a way to support the show directly. I am posting behind-the-scenes stuff. I'm doing reviews. I'm going to maybe do some Q&A and maybe even some live writing sessions where people can come and hang out. I love doing that stuff, and I love getting the chance to meet other people who are into the same thing. So I've got another interview coming up. It should be debuting in the beginning of June. And then I have some other pretty big announcements for people that I might be able to chat with this year that I'm trying to get scheduled. So keep your eyes open for that at mosshartbooks.com on Instagram or austinrwilson.com. I'll talk to you next time.